I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right. Enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
What? Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong? Disconnect.
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I was reading one of those health things that you get on social media. It says if you eat healthy, you reward yourself. That's what you do. So I decided to do that. If I eat healthy, then I can have one piece of candy as a reward. But if I eat unhealthy, I can have the whole bag. It's tricky stuff, this reinforcement theory. Very nice to have you with me. With me and my producer man, and today call screamer, Andrew Kruchak, taking care of business over there in Ave. Program is a call-in program. I wish all these folks who are sending me these emails, they're just clogging up my box. Not you. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about all these people pushing their authors, their guests, their experts. That's nice, but you're my guests. You're my experts. You're the people I want to talk to. I'm a psychologist. I had a lovely lady. I was talking to her today. She's doing some publicity for me, and I said, I can't take the interview at that time. I have a client. And she said, well, that sounds funny. I said, well, okay, I have a patient. You do that? Well, of course, here, this ain't just a radio shrink here. This ain't just a speak and shrink. Sure, I see clients. Absolutely. I wouldn't want to stop. You can't, because you wouldn't get any sense of the depth of what's going on with people. This is not a formula profession where you tell me the problem and I'll give you the formula in 74 words. No, you got to dig and explore. And sometimes the most frustrating thing is just when you think you got it, they throw a curveball at you. It could be 5 sessions later. It could be 2 minutes before the session is done. Somebody tells you something that upends your whole understanding of what's going on. But I digress. I'll save that for a future monologue. Let me give you the number, 877-573-7825. Why would you call? That's up to you. Most people call because of a specific situation in their lives. Or they call to help someone else out. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I think, maybe not. It was 2 years ago. It was either yesterday or 2 years ago. We had a topic come up, and people had a lot of opinions about the topic. And I'll tell you, the one that kicks the hornet's nest is tattoos. That kicks the hornet's nest. And if you want to kick an angry hornet's nest, you talk about people sitting in the end pew at church or their seat, which causes problems at Christmas and Easter when these folks come in here who haven't been there and they're sitting in your seat. Do you believe that? Did you rope it off? That kicked up a whole angry hornet's nest. People saying, well, there's reasons why I do that. Anyway, that aside, people call in to help other people. They call in with questions that they don't understand about circumstances, about life. A little later today, I'm going to be interviewed on EWTN News Nightly, talking a bit about how do you talk to kids about this terrible devastation in Texas, especially with so many children at Bible camp. What kind of God is this? I'm sure is floating through a lot of people's heads. So, going to talk with them a little. But for right now, let me give you the number, 877-57-EQUAL. That is the number to call to get onto the program. I definitely want to hear from you. Talk to Andrew Kruchak first, and then to me. It is said I've heard a lot of experts say it. Children really want discipline. They want rules. They want limits. I agree with that in part. I don't think they really want discipline right when it's happening. They want it when they can look back and say, now I see what my parents were trying to teach me. Now I see why they did what they did. Now I see why I got disciplined. Now I see why there were limits and rules to what I wanted to do if I were to left to my own devices. Hindsight. Children want discipline in hindsight. They don't want it in foresight. They don't like it. It's not their idea of a good time. The last time one of your kids came out of his room and said, Mom, can I talk to you a second? You know, I was up in my room because I snotted off, sitting up there on the last nicest day of the year before school, watching my friends play football. I was thinking, you know, I could have a mom like Lucky's mom. She gives him $25 a week for feeding a goldfish that died 3 weeks ago. He has a 6-foot computer screen with video games in his room. But I don't. I have a mother like you. And I'm grateful. And I realize something too. You're not trying to be mean. You tried to teach me. This is going to help me when I'm an adult. So I just want to tell you, Mom, thank you so much. I'm going back to my room now. You don't need to worry about me. Or you put a little kid in the corner. Are they grateful? Or do they start? Hate this dumb corner. Hate this dumb house. Never send Chastity to the corner. She's your pet, that's why. Why'd you even bother to have me? I know why. You don't want to do no work around here yourself, that's why. I wish Grandma was my mom. She loves me. I wish Dad was my mom. He's never home. Of course, then you got the weasels. I love you, Mommy. And I want to come out right now and give you the biggest hug and kiss I ever gave you in my life. Quick, before the feeling goes away. Mommy, did you paint the ceiling yourself? It's beautiful. Daddy never helps you do nothing around here, does he, Mom? And then you have the elite of discipline resistors. Mommy, can I come out and pray with you? Would you pray with me right now? I just have a feeling that I just want to say prayers, and I don't want that feeling to go away. Yeah, it ain't exactly, boy, sure glad I went to the corner. That'll help me out. You know, about 20 or 30 more visits like that, and I think this lesson's going to sink in, and I'll develop self-control, and this will help me all throughout life. Sure glad my mom isn't hesitant to send me to the corner. Children want discipline when they can look back on it and say, I'm grateful for what happened. But at the moment it's happening, this isn't their idea of a good time. 877-573-7825.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Are you paying high prices with a traditional health insurance company that pays for things that violate your conscience? There's an alternative available. Solidarity HealthShare is a community of faithful individuals and families that never share into immoral medical services, all while saving you money with prices starting as low as $85 per month for singles and $512 for families. Never fund another abortion with your healthcare dollars. Call 844-313-4999 to learn more.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866 Ave Maria or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
He is honored by the Church as a saint with the title of the Angelic Doctor.
Matthew Bunson and the Doctors of the Church.
St. Thomas Aquinas wrote a basic textbook for young theology students that became the Church's most famous guide to the faith, the Summa Theologica. It helped him earn the title Doctor of the Church. He died in 1274.
For more about the Doctors of the Church, visit doctorsofthechurch.com.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
Just seeing how long Andrew's going to let that bumper music go. Andrew, those are about 30-second bumpers, aren't they? They vary. Can you give me a couple of 2-minuters? Throw in a few 2-minute ones. I can take a longer break. That'd be nice. Nice to have you with me, Dr. Ray Guarendi here. Let's get to you folks. Now, I learned from Tony and Teresa Holman, beautiful people operating Covenant Radio Network, one of the big networks in the EWTN umbrella. And Adam Wright told me this too. Laura is calling from Jefferson City. You don't say Jefferson City. If you're a nativer, you say Jeff City. Where are you going? Well, I'm going to Jeff City. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
I got a feeling
How are you today?
I'm fine, dear. I got a feeling this is a personal call, not a generic one.
Sure, yes.
So you phrase it here, and then I'll see what we can do to talk.
My question is, what is the best treatment for pornography addiction, if you want to call it addiction?
Okay. And I think that's very nice that you said that. I think you're right. I think the word is flung around a little too easily. Although I will acknowledge that sometimes it can be such a grip on somebody that it could earn the word addiction. Couple of things. One, you probably have to go, at least in the beginning, a behavior route. And by that I mean you eliminate the near occasion of the sin. If the individual says, okay, that's it, put a password on the computer, I can only get on it when you put the password on it and when you're right there. 2, get me a phone with no internet access. If an individual's willing to do that, he cuts off his avenues. I said he because most of the time it still is men, although more women are becoming like men in that regard. Cuts off his avenues. Now, if he's not willing to do that, say no, that's a step too far, then I'm not sure how well talk therapy will work. But if he's willing, the therapy I would suggest is something called cognitive behavior therapy, which is you look at the thinking that is underlying the behavior. What is it that this person is telling himself about his desire for pornography, his need for pornography? Is he using it as something that it substitutes for his wife? Is it because he feels she is not accessible? What is going on that finally got him so deep into this? So you got two things. One, you got to cut off the source. You really do. And two, you got to look at what the individual is thinking in his mind. That's kind of redundant. What he's thinking that is surrounding this behavior. Now, you know who has some good help on that is Matt Fradd. Matt has some real good stuff on that. So you might want to check up on Matt's stuff.
Okay.
Okay, Laura? Now, again, yeah, go ahead, dear.
That's great. Great information, and we have done those. Those items we're going in the right direction on that for sure.
And that's a real indicator that someone says, I'm realizing that what I am into is hurting badly my marriage and my relationship with my wife. It's also affecting me in a lot of ways. It's twisting my view of what intimacy is. It's twisting my view of what God designed. Also, and this is something perhaps a therapist would say, is you're essentially providing an audience for young women who are being used and abused. That's somebody's daughter, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah. So this has been an issue throughout our marriage of 19 years. And in the last few months, there's been discovery of that. Thankfully, not an affair or anything further down the road. So I'm thankful for that. And I've been reacting differently myself and treating it differently myself. This is the first time that the individual has ever, or that my spouse has ever said, it's definitely a problem and I want to get help. My concern is that, again, it has always been a discovery. It's never been an admission. It's always been a trauma-type discovery, betrayal-type trauma, those reoccurrence. So it's almost, I think that this time has been more like the rock bottom type thing, where it's feeling more like that the relationship could, in theory, be over.
He's jeopardizing.
So,
he's jeopardizing your marriage.
I will do anything this time, where before it was always, I can change this, I can stop, I can, and he would stop for periods of months, years, whatever, and then till he had another triggering something to occur, and then it would go down rabbit holes.
He's realizing, Laura, that he's jeopardizing your marriage and that your patience is not unlimited. And he's finally recognizing he doesn't want to lose it all over something like this. And if he's willing to say, okay, let's close all the doors here so I can't easily walk through my smartphone 26 and everything else that I have access to. If he's willing to do that, I think maybe he's finally realizing my wife is at her very limits. There you go, dear. Good luck to you. I know it. It's a priest will tell you that's probably the number one sin they hear in confession. And these are guys that go to confession too. Thank you, Laura.
And that was his first step. He did that. His first confession ever. So. Okay. Yeah.
Great. All right. That's a step.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right, Laura. Thank you, dear. From Jeff City. 100 years ago, 50 years ago, pretty much all the way back to the beginning of human history, you didn't have access to this stuff. This kind of technology has fed into human sin nature at a level beyond imagining. I draw the analogy of a conveyor belt going by you as you sit there thinking, okay, which sin do I want? Because it's just right there. It's coming to me. You used to have to go chase sin in a lot of ways. You had to go after it. Now, it's going to come to you. And there's more on the horizon, too, with AI, with virtual reality, all on the horizon. I got time? Yeah, I got time. Tony's calling from Melbourne, Florida. Hi, Tony.
Hey, how are you, Doctor?
Good, sir. Yourself?
Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm calling about, I have a son, he's 30 years old, and I'll give you try to keep it quick in history. He was in finished high school and he was going to state college. His friends got their AA and he was short of getting his. They went to a 4-year program. We allowed him to go up there with him. They were good kids and finish getting his 2-year at the local state college there, and then to get into the 4-year program, which he said he did. He was in it, in the 4-year program. Anyway, eventually we found out he was lying to us. He never got into the 4-year program. He lied to us about it. He was taking classes, dropping out of them, never even, I think barely finished his 2-year or was right there. And when we did, we brought him home. His GPA was low, so he couldn't even take a full line of classes, had to take 2 classes, but he brought him home. He was in school. He did well. He was getting good grades. And then working part-time. He got to a point where he could take full-time, got his GPA up, and he was doing that. Then he stopped short of probably about 4 classes of getting his 4-year degree. He was working full-time at a place he worked there for 3 years, decided he didn't like it, wanted to just flat-out quit, trying to talk to him about quitting, having another job in place, etc. I was able to get him a job with a family member who had a company local nearby, and so he took that, and he kind of said it was a trial program, did it for about a month or so, and he ends up, I get a call, and he hadn't come to work in 2 days, and they couldn't reach him. And my son called him and found out, and he that morning had told my wife, his mom, that he was on his way to, work, because she had seen there was an accident on the main highway. So anyway, he was lying to us. He ended up finally, telling us, and he called and he quit.
Bring me up to date here, Tony. Bring me up to today.
Yeah. So right now, he's always kept this other job that he's had, and he works, and he lives on his own. He doesn't ask us for money or anything like that. I don't believe he's doing any drugs or anything like that. I can't say 1,000% for sure, but I don't feel he is. He distanced himself a little bit from the family, but he's close to the family. He's making an effort to be back with us, and when we have family things and everything.
So, Tony, what is your concern?
Okay, so my concern is that again, he didn't. The first time I felt like he was in a depression. He was like sleeping in. He didn't want to go to work. The job he quit. He was so distraught about it. But it wasn't anything horrible. He just didn't like it there. But it was like he was so distraught, he was having a hard time getting up and going to work.
So your son has made a lot of bad decisions for years.
Correct. And it's like, I don't know if it's a depression. He went and saw a psychiatrist one time, and he told him he had mild depression. So that's where that is. And we're trying to get him to see a therapist now.
Okay.
But I don't, I'm just concerned that, it's just more than he makes bad decisions. And he doesn't, he's depressed over it. I mean, things that should,
you put your finger on it, Tony.
Situation, I understand that.
You gave me an opening to address this in the direction I wanted to go. So stay right there if you would, sir. Got the hard break cutting us off, and then we'll come back after the break. 877-57 equal is the number. I want to hear from you. Typically, we get more calls at the bottom. You get calls anytime during the program, and you have pretty much an equal chance of getting on.
Father Benedict Rochelle, Some great people have shown respect for God. Can I read you a little quotation from Albert Einstein, who many times showed a great respect for religion and was one of the great admirers of Pope Pius XII for his stand against the Holocaust during the Second World War. Einstein wrote, "The fairest thing we can experience is the mysterious. It's the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of all true art and science. A knowledge of the existence of something we can't penetrate, of the manifestations of the profoundest reason and the most radiant beauty, which are only accessible to our minds in the most elementary form. It is this knowledge and this emotion that constitute the truly religious attitude." Oh my, so beautifully said.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Christ is the answer with Father John Riccardo.
Maybe we need to ask ourselves, do we really know Jesus? Maybe another way to ask that would be, how familiar are you with the Gospels? When I was living in D.C., I was on the plane taking a late flight home, sitting next to a young girl. She was probably 16, 17. I had my collar on, and we got talking, and she said somehow in the course of the conversation, she acknowledged that she was running away from home and was in the midst of an awful lot of difficulties that were going on. Her story seemed to be remarkably akin to the story of the prodigal son, which we just heard this past Sunday at Mass, huh? And so I started to speak a little bit about that with her. And I said, you sound a little bit like the younger son in the story of the prodigal son. And she looked at me like I was from Mars. And I said, are you not familiar with the story of the prodigal son? And she says, no, never heard it. And I just looked at her and I says, oh my goodness, are you in for a wonderful evening?
Thank you for joining me. It's Dr. Ray Guarendi here. Program Doctor is in Monday through Friday. I'm talking to Tony from Melbourne, Florida. He's got a 30-year-old son, lives independently, has kind of, basically bounced all over the place since college. Not unusual in today's culture with young adults. Not at all. They make bad decisions or they don't follow through with responsibilities. And Tony has had his son to a psychiatrist one time for an evaluation. Psychiatrist said mild depression, which is understandable given that Tony's son is not living his life all that well. And then Tony says we'd like to get him to a counselor. Tony, is he resisting the counselor?
No, he's actually open to it.
Okay, well, that's good. See, your concern, you say, is he depressed? Well, I wouldn't doubt if there's some kind of depressive mood filtering through his decisions because he makes bad decisions. He quits jobs. He finds himself without money. He maybe doesn't get along with a boss or a coworker because he gets frustrated easily. So he does these kinds of things. Does he have a girlfriend?
No, not a steady one. He feels like one of the things. I mean, he does have girls that like he's dating. He's talking to this one girl that he's met her kind of. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's a point at the end of a girlfriend thing or not. But he also feels like he's not in a position to because of his life decisions. He really recognizes things, but he's not happy in these other jobs. And
well, it's not surprising. He sees
he works a very simple job. He's happy at that.
Well, he sees that anything that pushes him a little bit to act a certain way is a challenge and it bothers him. So he retreats from it. But in retreating from it, he doesn't move forward at all. He works a dead-end job. And he, as you were beginning to say, he doesn't know if he can keep a girlfriend because he doesn't have much money. So all of this is on top of him. And you're right. A good therapist hopefully will help him look at what he's doing and say these are dead-end decisions. I've had a lot of guys come to me like this. And unless they are willing to say For years, I've made a lot of bad decisions based upon a lot of bad thinking. And I want to look at that, and I want to do something about it, unless they're really willing to do that. It's kind of like losing weight. Yeah, I want to lose weight. Well, okay. Well, I'm not sure I want to do all I have to do to lose weight. You mean watch my intake and maybe get a little more active? Ooh, I don't know about that, but I still want to lose weight. So if that's where your son is, I don't know how much therapy is going to help him. But hopefully, when you got a string of, like you said, this all started when he was in college. My guess would be, and you didn't say this, my guess would be probably in high school there were some bumpy spots. Were there not?
He did fairly well in high school. He wasn't a perfect student, but he did pretty well. He actually.
I'm talking socially. Well. I'm talking socially.
Oh, socially? Yeah, no, he has a good group of friends that he's still friends with, and he was involved in sports, and so he that to that aspect, he's a very social kind of a person, actually.
Well, then it comes down to, why does he quit these jobs through frustration? What is it about peer interactions? What is it about boss interactions that he can't handle? Right. Where his frustration tolerance is so low, and hopefully a good therapist will help him so that he doesn't get quite so upset when things on the job don't work out the way he wants, because it keeps him from getting any kind of job where he can go up higher. As you said, he works this very simple, straightforward job where he doesn't have a whole lot of contact with a lot of other people. But, like you say, if he's making $12 an hour, I don't know how far that's going to take him.
Right.
I think the therapist would be a good route, Tony. Thank you, my friend.
Okay.
Thank you for the call. Let's go to Frank. Frank from Buck County, PA. A lot of deer there. A lot. Hi, Frank.
Yeah, hi.
What can I do for you, sir?
Is this Dr. Ray Guarendi?
It is. You got
Dr. Ray Guarendi. So I'm calling out of the Bucks, and I just mentioned to him, he thought it was a good enough question to put me through. I have two of your books here. Jesus, the Master Psychologist, and How to Get Along with Everybody, or Almost Everybody. And I'm wondering, I have a lot of questions. I took a lot of notes. I wrote you a letter. I sent it to, the address of the publisher here. And I'm just wondering, is there a Facebook group? Is there some kind of, meetup group where we, that we could talk about how you teach, your clinical experience?
Yeah. Two places. One, I have a woman who manages my Facebook account. And on that, people do a lot of interacting. There's a lot of comments. There's a lot of interchange. The Instagram account is managed by my son, and he finds there's an awful lot of, I don't know what they call it, I guess they call it engagement is the word, where people can make comments, or they can ask questions, or they can say, what do you think about this? And that keeps, what I understand, the algorithm going, anything that's gone viral on my Instagram account typically has clicked into the algorithm, and then they started putting it before a whole lot of other people. So two places like that, Frank, my Facebook page, my Instagram page.
So Dr. Ray, real quick, I know you're busy. Facebook page, do I look up Dr. Ray Guarendi on Facebook?
Yeah. Yep.
But I've done that, and I haven't found your group. That's the first thing I did. I asked myself, how can I find Dr. Ray's, a resource where I can interact and ask questions with, like-minded people, and I couldn't find it. So is this something new within the last year? Or?
Let me give you the email of my Facebook manager, okay? She'll tell you what to do. Got a pencil? Pen?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's Katie, Katie, MC, Katie,
okay.
MC, at jmgconsulting.net. And Katie runs things, and she's the one that says, okay, you want to be a follower? Here's how you do it. She'll also tell you how to do the Instagram account, too.
Oh, good. Dr. Ray, one other question. I just want to repeat the email address back to you. Katie, KATIEMC at jmgconsulting.com.
.net.
.net. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Ray. I appreciate your work. I appreciate what you're doing in the mental health community. And I've been a long-time listener on EWTN 57 AM out of Philadelphia. And I'm looking forward to your next book.
I got one coming up, Frank. So it's coming. Thank you, sir. I'll talk to you. I didn't know there was going to be that many compliments on that one, Andrew. We'd have gotten to that call a lot sooner. Give him more time. He would have given me more compliments, but you cut him off with that break. You did that on purpose.
How does the first commandment encompass the virtue of charity? The Catholic Catechism says it commands us to love God above all else and to love all creatures for Him and because of Him. There are numerous ways to sin against God's love. The sin of indifference neglects or refuses to contemplate divine charity. Ingratitude refuses to even acknowledge divine charity or return to God love for love. Lukewarmness is hesitation or negligence in responding to divine love. Spiritual sloth occurs when a person rejects the joy coming from God and is repelled by divine goodness. Finally, actual hatred of God denies His goodness and curses Him as the one who forbids sin and inflicts punishments. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
Teaches that Jesus Christ is literally and wholly present, body and blood, soul and divinity, under the appearances of bread and wine. In the Bread of Life discourse, documented in John chapter 6, Jesus states that He is the bread of life, and that His flesh is true food and His blood true drink. The Jews were scandalized in verse 52. How can this man give us his flesh to eat? Jesus does not back down, but reiterates this teaching 4 more times over the next 4 verses. Many left in verse 66 because this teaching was truly difficult. But at no point does Jesus water down His teaching and call them back. No, He allows them to leave, and even questions His 12 apostles if they too wish to leave. Jesus intended to be understood literally, and the Jews, apostles, and the Catholic Church absolutely take Him at His word. Examining the truth of the Catholic faith, this is faithforensics.org.
Very nice to have you with me, Dr. Ray Guarendi. Before I go to your calls, once again, I want to reiterate that we are appearing the TV show Living Right with Dr. Ray on EWTN. We are filming first 4 episodes of season number 15 in Buffalo. We will be filming at WNED. Beautiful, beautiful studio. We were there before. Very nice professional setups, downtown Buffalo. The Station of the Cross is setting all this up, and they have done a wonderful job. Probably about 4, 5, 6 years ago when we were there, and turning out an audience, huge audience. The audience was so much fun, and when you have a big audience like that, you get a lot of questions, you get loud clapping, you get loud booing, whatever happens. It's great. So if you would like to be part of the studio audience for Living Right with Dr. Ray, see your face on EWTN, August 19 and 20. We will be in Buffalo. Go to thestationofthecross, one big long word.com. On the homepage right there, you can sign up. The shows are 5 and 7:15 each night. Special attraction on the 19th is Father Larry Richards. He will be the whole time, both shows with us. So we're going to incorporate Father Larry in and throughout the show, taking your questions, giving me grief, all the stuff he does naturally. So, interested? Go there, build up that audience. It's wonderful. All right, what do we got here? Lourdes from New England. Hi, Lourdes. Lourdes, how are ya?
Oh, hi, Dr. Ray. Hi. I just loved the comment you made before the break about that your associate putting up a hard break when you were getting compliments. I thought to myself, boy, there's an example of somebody who needs CBT. But anyway, my question is I am 70 and I have had depression, and I was treated by a psychiatrist in the 2000s, and he gave me antidepressants and therapy, and everything was fine. He said I would need medication, like all the time. Okay, the problem is now I can no longer take antidepressants because they make me too tired, like Celexa, and so it's. And that now I also have more anxiety. So what alternatives do I have?
Well, you have alternatives of many antidepressant and anxiolytic drugs. There's just a whole boatload. And some are far less sedating than others. So I would wonder if your psychiatrist has done any experimenting. Has that happened?
Well, I haven't seen a psychiatrist since back then, but it's been my primary care providers that have been giving me the meds, and I had asked my last one, can he give me something else? And he talked about the tricyclics and then the SSRIs and the SNRIs, and, apparently they all make you tired.
Well, they don't. The tricyclics do. They've come with, it's an old line of antidepressant drugs way back. And it comes with some definite side effects. It blocks what is called the cholinergic system. But that aside, I'm just trying to show how smart I am. That aside, the SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, they don't generally cause sedation. So I would wonder if you'd want to get to somebody like a psychiatrist who's a little more familiar with what your medical options are. Now, the second thing I would like to say is this. If your depression is biochemically based, in other words, there is something in your wiring, your neurological makeup, that predisposes you to have these periods of very blue moods, lack of energy, cutting back on all your social activities, all the stuff, poor sleep, poor eating, all the stuff that indicates a significant depression. The medication works very well. On the other hand, if your depression is caused by life dissatisfaction, the way you look at things, the way you make decisions, the way you see yourself, the way you struggle, maybe with your religion or with other people, those kinds of things can put you in a blue mood. They can do this. And the medication, it doesn't work anywhere near as well. It works mostly by placebo. So given that, I'd say two things here, Lord. One, get yourself a psychiatrist. Somebody who can say, all right, we've got 6 options here. Let's try a low dose of this. If you're feeling sedation, we'll see what we can do. We'll cut it back, or we'll switch. That's one. And 2, you sound to me like you must have had cognitive behavioral therapy because you just flung the initials around. Did you?
When I saw the psychiatrist in the 2000s, yes, he spoke about that and referred me to Dr. Burns' book. So, you didn't go to a therapist? No, I did. I went to the psychiatrist for therapy and medication. And for 2 years, and so he spoke about the cognitive behavioral therapy and how our thinking can all or none thinking, or he spoke about these different.
We've got a lot of bad thinking habits, and these bad thinking habits create emotions that are self-sabotaging. That's very, very common. Very common. Maybe you need to get back to it. I do have some books that might help you. You might want to look into them. Go to my website and see which ones are relevant to you, because they will talk about how you can make yourself live a better life, a more contented life. I got one called Thinking Like Jesus. That is my wife's personal favorite, and it talks an awful lot about how you can live more contentedly. So that's something to consider, too.
Yeah, I guess what doesn't help is my medical issues and the problems that I've had with doctors and the healthcare system. But anyway, I thank you, and I'll check out those resources. Thank you so much.
All right, Lord, you take care. Remember what I said was either probably about 10 minutes ago or last year. I said something about when you talk with somebody and they're describing their situation, at some point they will say something that dramatically fleshes out the picture or changes the direction of the therapy. Did you hear what Lord said just at the very end? She said she had, and I'm going to assume they were long-standing, multiple physical problems and frustration with the medical system. So if, in fact, she's dealing with health issues, chronic health issues that are constricting her ability to move freely through life, then it's no surprise that that frustration is translating into depression. It's no surprise. So one direction in therapy would be, how, in fact, do we look at what your limits are and find ways around some of those limits? This goes to show you. See, as you talk a little more with someone, you get a better look at what is going on for these emotions. This is Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
The following program is brought to you in part by MyCatholicWill.com. Surveys show that more than half of Americans do not have a will. At MyCatholicWill.com, it takes as little as 15 minutes to write your will and secure a legacy of faith. MyCatholicWill.com is the exclusive online destination for creating a Catholic will. The process of writing a will is simple and now more accessible than ever. MyCatholicWill.com, a legacy of faith for those you love.
This summer, take a vacation that lifts your spirit and soul. Join corporate travel for the annual Grand Getaway on beautiful Mackinac Island, August 3rd to the 5th. Experience historic Grand Hotel, powerful talks from Father Mike Schmitz, Steve Ray, Dr. Edward Sri, and Father Leo Padalinghug, plus live broadcasts with Teresa Tamio, daily mass, 4-course dinners, and dancing. Faith, fellowship, and fun in one retreat. Only a few rooms remaining. Don't miss out.
Book this Ave Maria radio trip now by checking the travel page on AveMariaRadio.net.
You like pizza? Me too. And for that, we can thank our friend, Tom Monahan. First, he starts with $900 and opens one pizza shop. Then it's worldwide, thousands of shops. But all this was just a warm-up for his greatest achievement yet. He built a university.
God inspired Tom to build up generations of men and women who have a hunger to reach the world for Christ. This place is Ave Maria University.
Visit avemaria.edu to see what's next.
Last segment for those of you who don't get on. I know some of you have waited very patiently for a long time. Please call back. You'll be first up. Yvette, calling from North Dakota. I love the Dakotas. Hello, Yvette.
Yes. Dr. Ray, kind of an unusual question. Do you have an idea of some type of exercise, if you will, that can help you curtail angry reactions? I'm much younger than you. I'm only 71.
Oh, you're just a pup. You're just a pup.
I'm just trying to see. Okay.
No, there's no specific exercise. But there is lots of studies, lots of research that says physical activity can lower one's frustration level, can increase one's sense of satisfaction. So in fact, whatever you choose to do, whether it's strength training, whether it is cardio fitness, overall, that's going to help your mood. Now, you say your angry reactions to things. So the question is going to become, when are you most likely to react like that? Is it from what people say? Is it not feeling respected? Is it when life throws you a curveball? You got to analyze your reaction to the event or the person or the words. So what you're saying is I get angry easy. Is that what you're saying, your bet?
Things that set me off.
Is there any commonality to these things that set you off?
I think it's usually with my husband. it's if he's doing something, and it's not very often. It's not very often. We get along really good for almost 50 years. We're good. We have a bunch of kids and a bunch of grandchildren, and I walk a mile and a half every day, in separate, but the other day he was mowing the lawn on Sunday. I said to him a couple of times, please quit mowing that machine so loud. It's not necessary to do Sunday. And he kept riding the mower around, and eventually, he stopped. But I reacted at first, and then within 10 minutes, I apologized. I said, I'm really sorry. But I just didn't like the fact that I reacted like that.
Well, you reacted like that because you're saying, one, he doesn't respect what I want. I asked him nice, and he blew me off. He just kept mowing. What kind of respect is that? And two, well, he's really not giving God his due either because he's just going ahead and mowing. Now, do you have a riding mower?
He does.
All right, so that's not exactly servile work, okay? He's got his butt plopped on top of this machine that he's just sort of driving around, which would mean you could draw a parallel to driving a car, too. So what you did is you interpreted the situation. You interpreted it. Instead of shutting the windows, or instead of putting music up, or instead of plugging your ears with some kind of sound drowning out thing. How's that for articulate vocabulary? You didn't. You just got mad. You just said, I can't believe he's not doing this. I've asked him. Well, that's what you did. Now, it was nice that you apologized, and it was also nice that it doesn't happen very often, and it's also nice that you got over it in 10 minutes. You didn't brew all day long.
Right.
So, in that sense, here's what we take away from this. Okay. One, there are times, and they can be little things, that set you off. Mm-hmm. When you're doing this, you stop before you erupt, and you say, what am I telling myself about this situation that is getting me so irritated? I know what it is. He's not listening to me.
Okay.
I know what it is. That noise is bugging me. I know what it is. He's disrespecting God. So, rather, your reaction is not automatic. There are a whole lot of thoughts right before it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you got to identify what those thoughts are, and then recognize that those thoughts may not make a whole lot of sense.
Okay.
He may not be dissing you at all, you bet. He may just simply say, I want to get the lawn done. It has nothing to do with dissing you. Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
And?
Okay. Yeah.
I thought, you know what, honey? I thought you were going to react to me really nasty, but you didn't. You calmed yourself down. You're young. You're young. You got time to learn these things, you bet. You got time to learn these things. Thank you, everybody.
Listen really carefully. Okay,
all right, sweetie. I'll talk to you. Thanks, everybody. I got to run. The time is clicking in Latin. Tempus fugit. That's the way it is. F-U-G-I-T. Walk with God. An easy walk.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.